All right, thank you. Is there a motion to move to?
Oh, sorry, never mind, you're right. Never mind, sorry. Sorry.
No. Is there a motion to move to resume open session at 3:17 p.m. Pacific Standard Time?
So move, board member Beeman.
Seconded, board member Joyce.
Thank you. Board member Chin, yes. Board president, Vice President Joyce, yes.
Yes.
And yeah, yes, I'm gonna yes
Answer
for
for
you.
me.
Board member Beeman,
Yes.
board member Hall,
Yes.
board member Hammonds,
Yes.
board member Kirkbride,
Yes.
board member Kroger,
Yes.
board member Patel.
Here.
Thank you. And you're okay with moving into open session?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. The board will now discuss the next steps of the executive director recruitment process and the board actions necessary. Kylan, do we need to discuss anything before we go into our motions?
No additional discussions necessary.
Okay. Are folks ready for the motions then? I know there are people biting at the bit. Here we go. All right. Is there a motion to move that DAS CHRO on behalf of the board make a job offer, negotiate pay, and execute any additional items needed for the hiring of executive director of the Oregon Board of Pharmacy for candidate Gary Runyon?
So move, board member Beeman.
Seconded, board member Joyce.
Board member Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
board member Beeman,
Yes.
board member Hall,
Yes.
board member Hemmons,
Abstain.
board member Kirkbride,
Yes.
board member Kroger,
No.
board member Patel.
Yes.
Motion passes with board member Hemmons abstaining and board member Kroger opposing. If for any reason Gary Runyon does not accept or anything would prevent him from taking the position, is there a motion to move that DAS CHRO on behalf of the board make a job offer, negotiate pay, and execute any additional items needed for hiring of the executive director of the Oregon Board of Pharmacy for candidate Majid Tanas?
Member Kirkbride, so moved.
Seconded, board member Joyce.
Thank you. Board President Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
board member Beeman,
Yes.
board member Hall,
Yes.
board member Hemmons,
Abstained.
board member Kirkbride,
Yes.
board member Kroger,
Yes.
board member Patel.
Board member Patel, yes.
Thank you. Motion passes with board member Hemmons abstaining. Okay. On to other business. And congratulations to both gentlemen, and thank you all for your time and commitment to this service that we all do on the Oregon Board of Pharmacy. We need to discuss the appointing even a new interim executive director. As hopefully everyone is aware, our interim executive director, Rosa Klein, left her position with the board on March 28, 2025. At this time, CG Shelton Flores, our chief financial and administrative officer, was asked to step in as the acting ED. The board is now in the position of needing to appoint a new interim ED, going back to that date, to conduct operations of the board until we have a permanent ED in place and delegate authority to the interim ED. It is the suggestion that the board appoint CG Shelton Flores as the interim ED to fill in during this time period, however brief it would be, depending on who is chosen through the process. As you all know, we are close to having a permanent ED, and hopefully the time period that the board needs CG to fill in as interim ED will be short. Because of that, I think it's important that the board limit the delegation of authority to the interim ED for the day-to-day operations of the board. Hopefully, we will have a permanent ED in place within a month, and at this point, the board needs the interim ED to make sure the basic day-to-day operations of the board are running smoothly and have the delegated authority to ensure that the day-to-day operations run smoothly. That the interim ED shouldn't have the delegated authority to make any policy changes, operational changes, or any changes regarding staff, including changes in staff roles or duties. As any board projects, discussions, or work regarding changes, policy, operations, or staffing should be put on hold until the permanent ED is hired and can be actively involved in those discussions, projects, or work. Are there any opening? And CG, thank you so much for providing your resume. It was been lovely to have worked with you so far for the last 7 months, I believe, and you've done a wonderful job. Do board members have any questions or discussion? I can either do a round robin or you can raise hands. And somebody can, board member Kirk.
For President Chin, you mentioned 30 days. Should we do this until the next board meeting, just in case there's any hiccups in the
I don't-
onboarding?
I don't think I had any number of days put in here.
Oh, I
It was-
thought I heard you say 30 days.
It might have been my braces talking, but there is not a time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening so closely. Any other questions or concerns? I am not seeing any hands raised. Then we can, is there a motion to move to appoint CG Shelton Flores as the interim executive director as of March 31st, 2025?
So move, Board Member Joyce.
Again, Board Member Kirkbride.
Thank you. Board President Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce.
Yes.
Board Member Beeman.
Yes.
Board Member Hall.
Yes.
Board Member Hemmons. I don't hear from Board Member Hemmons. Is Board Member Hemmons still on the call?
She is still on the call. I also see that HR Sherry Lauer has her hand up, so.
Oh, I will, how do I, Council Hunt, how do
President Chin, I think
Yes.
she gave me access to speak. I'm sorry, I can't put my camera on.
Sherry, we have a motion pending. We gotta finish it first.
I'm wondering, how do I rescind the
Oh,
motion?
sorry.
That's okay. How do I rescind the motion? So,
No, I know we need to finish it. So Board Member Hemming,
okay, Board Member Hemmons,
She's just on mute.
you're on mute, Board Member Hemmons. No.
let's move on to the next person.
Yep, Board Member Kirkbride,
Yes.
Board Member Kroger,
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Hemmons not responding to
You just
the.
say abstain. I didn't hear what the question was.
I can repeat the question. We're moving to appoint CG Shelton Flores as the interim executive director as of
Yes.
March 31st. Thank you. Motion passes. All right, now we can address desk staff Sherry Lauer, please.
I apologize, President Chin. I thought you were asking me my question. Interim director line was actually interim director until want to be careful because that date could create some challenges. She was on vacation for a week, but she was technically still part of the agency and interim director until the 4th.
Until the 4th of,
April.
okay, that was not made aware. So do we need to re-motion that to put the April 4th?
Yes.
date there?
I think that notification that was sent out said the 31st. Yeah, it said the correspondence that came from with Rosa, I was like, from Rosa Klein said the 31st, which is why that was put in the note.
I was on leave when that took place and the date got extended to the 4th at some point. And so she was just on vacation that week.
Then we would need to change the motion. We basically need to withdraw the previous motion, and call for the motion.
Board Member Beeman, can I motion to withdraw the previous motion?
Yeah.
I move to withdraw the previous motion.
Seconded, Board Member Joyce.
Board President Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Board Member Beeman, Board Member Beeman,
Yes.
sorry, Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Hemmons,
Yes.
Board Member Kirkbride,
Yes.
Board Member Kroger,
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Yes.
Motion to withdraw the previous motion has been passed. Is there a motion to move to appoint CG Shelton Flores as interim executive director as of April 4th, 2025?
Board Member Beeman.
Seconded, Board
Thank
Member
you.
Joyce.
Thank you. President Chin, yes. Vice President Joyce,
Yes.
Board Member Beeman,
Yes.
Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Hemmons,
Yes.
Board Member Kirkbride,
Yes.
Board Member Kroger,
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Yes.
Thank you. We will now discuss the interim executive director delegation of duty. We have a mailing for that for the mailing B. I will read what the motion is. We are not motioning. Is that okay for me to do, Board Counsel Hunt?
You were seeking to just have a limited delegated authority, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But the mailing, I do believe, had just all of the delegate, it had everything on there. So the Oregon Board of Pharmacy delegation of authority was more broad than what the motion.
This is the full delegation of authority. Typically, when you only have somebody in the period for a short period of time, you limit the delegated authority. So if you want to limit the delegated authority, you would need to make a motion for that and state what you want it to be limited to.
So that's why I'd like to read the motion so that board members can understand what they're voting on before we actually go into a formal vote, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, so the motion basically is to delegate authority to the interim executive director for day-to-day board operations, but no authority regarding board projects, discussion, or work regarding changes to policy, operations, or staffing. And this is not anything about CG at all. This is just about really wanting to preserve these tasks for the new executive director. CG is perfectly capable of doing kinds of managerial roles and roles, but we have a short turnaround for our new ED, and I would suggest that these tasks be held until a new ED is in place. Does anybody have discussion or comments? You'll have to let me know if anybody in the room has their hand raised.
Nobody has their hand raised here.
Okay, so are we ready to go ahead with that motion then? Okay, I'm gonna do it. Is there a motion to move to delegate authority to interim executive director Shelton Flores for day-to-day board operations, but no authority regarding board projects, discussion, or work regarding changes to policy, operations, or staffing?
Member Kirkbride, so moved.
Second, board member Beeman?
Thank you. Board President Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce?
Yes.
Board Member Beeman?
Yes.
Board Member Hall?
Yes.
Board Member Hemmons?
Yes.
Board Member Kirkbride?
Yes.
Board Member Kroger?
No.
Board Member Patel?
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Kroger opposed. And let's see, what time are we? Is it 3:33? So we still have an hour to go for our time. Let's go to board discussion regarding board meeting agendas. The board president in collaboration, go ahead. Sorry, I wasn't sure if somebody was interrupting me. The board president in collaboration with the executive director approves meeting agendas to ensure resource efficiency and alignment with strategic priorities. Regarding current board meeting agendas, at the start of each public board meeting, following housekeeping, meeting etiquette, and board president presents the meeting agenda for review. Board members are polled via roll call for any proposed revisions to the current meeting agenda. An example revision would be, I'd like to talk about legislative session bills before rules and would like to request realigning the agenda. All requests for revisions must be made before board motions. Requests to add additional agenda items will not be considered at this time. The board votes to approve the agenda as proposed or revised. Board members have the opportunity to approve or oppose during the motion. Board meeting agenda authority and meeting management. Board president and executive director have the final approval and authority for board meeting agendas and are responsible for meeting flow and facilitation. Future board meeting agenda item requests. Board members may propose topics for future board meeting agendas to the board president during the matters to be discussed by the board portion of the board meeting. When a board member requests a topic to be discussed at a future board meeting, the topic will be added to future board meeting agenda item request document. The board president will review the document of both the pre and post board meeting debrief. The document will live in Teams and will be updated before each regularly scheduled board meeting if applicable. Alternatively, a board member may email the request to the board president and executive director. The board president and executive director will determine agenda items to be included based on strategic priorities and available resources. And open for discussion. We've touched on some of these things previously, but just wanted to have a formal flow of the whole picture of the agenda. Are there any questions, any concerns?
Board Member Kroger.
Mhm.
One, I think, Board Member President Chin, you've done a great job of navigating through complex agenda reviews and, squeezing in as much as we can in the limited amount of time we are together. So thank you for that in your term as president. I think just the only maybe concern or comment that I have is, I want all board members to feel that they have the ability to, and feel comfortable making suggestions for, future meeting agenda topics, and that, the board president, whomever they may be, continues to support, those requests by board members. I think there's a few board members who have brought up various topics repeatedly at meetings, and they have not necessarily been addressed within the agenda quite yet. But I don't want anyone on this board to feel like they are unable to continue to articulate requests for agenda items.
I think that's why that, that's anything that has been brought up during the portion of additional topics to suggest for a board meeting agenda. I think all of those are on that living document, Board Member Kroger. And sometimes it's been mentioned. I think that there are notations if it's on the years or the dates that it has been requested to bring forward to an agenda. I too would, I only have one more board meeting as board president, but I would definitely suggest that all board members have this opportunity and use this opportunity. And we all have access to that living document in our board iPads. It is still, the flow is still going to be whoever the board president is, and that changes annually. The executive director working with the strategic plan that all of us as a board construct, and the rules strategy that board staff Runyon is going to be working with us on later in this meeting. And so I would also support any board member having any ability. That's what the open area is for and why it's been on our agendas. But I do appreciate what you're saying, Board Member Kroger. But I think that if it's done on the fly in a meeting, that might be different from when it is during that particular time of a board meeting when it actually goes on that living document. Does that maybe address what is perceived as not being put on this document?
Board Member Kroger, I'm not implying that anything is not on the document. I'm just saying that there are a few items that I recall which live in this document but have yet to make it to board discussion.
And that's accurate. And we have this much time and we have this many things that we have to get done, and it just depends. And some of those things will go into where there's the strategic plan or the rules. Some of those items will be addressed in those topics when they come to the board, but I don't know that I have an answer for everything that gets put into the living document will be addressed within a certain amount of time. Just because the board business has to continue running with the schedule of hearings and all the things that we do. But I note your concern, and whoever the next board president is will keep running with that concern. I think the newer item in here is that this document will be reviewed pre and post board meeting and really worked on with the new executive director in terms of trying to get these items onto an agenda. I think that's going to be where you might see a difference.
For Kirkbride, and I just have one dovetail comment to that I would hope that the new board president, I didn't realize you only have one meeting left.
Mhm.
And new executive director, that sounds weird to say, work together to think about how that document lives with the new rules prioritization. So, when I opened that document, I was pretty overwhelmed at the length of it and the age of items. So I almost wondered, once something makes the rules priority list, maybe it shouldn't be on that document anymore. I don't know the answer, but maybe that's a discussion that the those two people can have and just make sure that that document is as clean as possible and things have a place to go.
Yep,
That's my
exactly. And I think that's an area that will be worked on with the new president and executive director. And I think that, part of this discussion is formalizing that and getting it noted that there will be discussion between the people who make the agenda about that document and about the board members' concerns. So, and how they fit with the strategic plan and the rule-making priorities and what we're mandated by the legislature to do. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Okay, we're at 3:43. Let's have a NAPB report from board member Kroger then. I think that board staff Melvin has a.
Yes, give me just a moment. And we will, staff member Melvin will just hyperlink this presentation to the board meeting summary. We missed the deadline for the packet. That's not very large. And then board member Kroger, if you want to just say next slide when you're ready for me to proceed.
Board member Kroger here. This was just, this is a very rudimentary slide deck created. Received some information, onboarding type things from NABP. I think at some of the previous board meetings, some of the board members, some of the newer board members kind of articulated a little bit of like, what is NABP? What, like, you keep referencing different hot topics that are discussed at NABP meetings. I think it was actually board member Pinedo that had a few more questions. And so I think the intent of this is not to re-educate anybody on the board around what NABP is, but just some great reminders of the support that this organization has for our agency. So you can scroll up. The next slide. So NABP's mission, purpose, and statements are very aligned to, in general, what we as board members are striving for as well. To create safer public health for tomorrow. I think that probably rings true with all of us. So they are that organization with a very similar focus to what our agency is focused on as well. Next slide, please. Just as a reminder, there are 54 active members of NABP. Those are state boards. It includes 10 associate members as well. So you're probably adding that up and saying that doesn't quite make sense. If we go to, I believe the next slide shows the map of NABP. So we are in District 7. I'm not a fan of the colors that are chosen here because they all kind of blend together, tough to see. But you see that outside of the United States, there's also Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, and then member associations from our neighbors to the north in Canada, which I think it's very interesting to hear their views on pharmaceutical care when they operate in a very different way than we do here in the US. So I think it's nice to have a lot of different perspectives on how do we continue to move forward and promote safe pharmacy practices. Next slide, please. So this is just really kind of all the things NABP supports, which is quite a lot, from inspections, accreditations, obviously the big ones, the licensure, helping with pharmacist and outlet licensure. There's newsletters that they support, trainings, all sorts of data. There's the regulatory resources in the annual meetings. And so just wanted to highlight for the group as we, I think, move forward into maybe another, as board members and looking at and reviewing various rules, the resources that we have for the NABP Model Act, the Survey of Pharmacy Law, NABP Law, and the member manual, which we all have access to. I think, questions asked about like, well, how many states have a rule on this? That survey of law is sometimes quite helpful in understanding what is what are other states doing, and, where do we land within that mix? Scroll down. Next slide, please. So this is just a snapshot of what that looks like. The NABP law online, the Model Pharmacy Act rules can be helpful, especially if we're tackling a particular practice area. It could be telework, telehealth. It could be pharmacy lockers. They may have something within the Pharmacy Model Act and rules that we would want to take a look at. And I know the staff is very familiar with this, and I believe probably references this quite frequently as they're drafting proposed rules, but I think it's also helpful for us as board members to do our diligence and understand what's out there as well. And like I said, the Survey of Pharmacy Law, that's one of my favorite resources to use, especially just kind of understanding the landscape, whether it's, how many states require certification for technicians? Do they even require licensure for technicians? Some of those questions to kind of understand really, what's going well or what's not working well in other states. And I think maybe there's one more slide. And then this kind of transitions into our next topic. So this is a sneak peek of the annual NABP meeting that's coming up in May. I think that from a professional development, growth, and educational standpoint, the purpose of these meetings is really to learn and to collaborate and to hear from all sorts of different other regulators. The keynote speaker is Daniel Kraft this year, who will be very interesting. It's really all around technology, and I'm interested into kind of hearing that view on technology within healthcare, because I think, a lot of comments are made about how, what are we going to do when AI enters the practice, but AI is already embedded within our practice in many different ways. We just don't need to call it AI at this point. There's also, interesting, for example, one of the agenda topics is a just approach to discipline. So that's, I think, a reference to that just culture mindset. So it'll be interesting to hear what that is and what that discussion is in that group. So other than that, I really didn't have much. This was more just something to make sure that all the board members, new and tenured, are continuing to use and look and understand that NABP is a resource for us. Like I said, the staff, I think, uses it probably on a day-to-day basis, but as we, think about going forward, especially with all the changes within the board, this is a great place to start to formulate your own opinions and ideas on how you want to shape the regulatory landscape in Oregon. That's all I had.
Thank you. And also, I'm not sure if NAPB is still doing the welcome to NAPB. It was a binder, a letter from the president, and a subscription to the Innovations magazine and newsletters. It's been very helpful for me, particularly as a public member, to have the information that they sent, and felt very welcomed by the national organization. So if new board members have not received a binder and letter and welcome to NAPB as a new board member, please let me know, and we will work on finding out if NAPB changed on their process of welcoming new board members to states. Okay, thank you, Victoria. That was very nice. Board Member Kroger. We have time. We will now discuss current board process for selecting a voting delegate and alternate board member to attend NAPB annual and district meetings. We will also discuss the decision-making authority on behalf of the board regarding proposed resolutions for the upcoming NAPB annual meeting in May. We'll start with mailing F in the timeline. Thank you. Yeah, we barely have enough time to get through this. 5-year historical timeline. Board and staff attendance for NAPB annual district and member meeting forums. Typically, it's been the board president, vice president, and staff member, the executive director, and/or pharmacist consultant have attended annually. Typically, the board president the voting delegate and the executive director was named as the alternate for the annual meetings. NAPB annual meeting, where the resolutions are formally presented, discussed, and voted upon by the delegates from member boards of pharmacy. District meetings, attendings may suggest resolutions for consideration at district meetings, and resolutions approved by the districts are submitted for consideration at the NAPB annual meeting. The process for choosing a board member for attendance. We need to, on the annual meeting, we need to figure out who's going to attend as the voting delegate, and then discuss authority to make decisions on behalf of the board, but only for resolutions, because there might be other asks from the National Board of NAPB of the delegate, but we are limiting the authority of the delegate to just resolutions. Otherwise, it's really an executive director question, I do believe, and not a board member issue. We also need to discuss who the alternate is. We need to discuss on a district 678 meeting, who attends, and the member forum meetings. There is the member forum is usually the board president that has attended in the past. And I will say that it was very helpful, and I felt that even as a public member, I had valuable insights to the issues that were being discussed at the member forum. We also need to discuss if we want a policy. We haven't had a policy. We've just always, quote, done it this way in terms of who attends NAPB. And we haven't, there were other suggestions made at our previous board meeting. And so if we wanted to discuss, and we don't need to decide on one today, but if we wanted to discuss this and decide if we wanted a policy that could be reviewed either annually or however, with each new board president would be fine. Something that we can decide if we want staff to draft. So talk amongst yourselves, but raise your hand for who would like to go first.
Member Kirkbride, I'll go first.
Thank you.
Of course. And I think I spoke on this last time. I'm not familiar with this meeting, but I am familiar with APHA and being a past OSPA president and serving as a delegate. So I'm familiar with what the concept is. I do support, the previous actions, and it makes sense that the president and vice president have assigned meetings. I have no issue with continuing that tradition. But I do think that in those rare cases when the assigned person cannot attend and both people have, attended previous meetings, it is a good opportunity to open up the opportunity to other board members to attend. So I'm not proposing we eliminate the president, vice president scenario. I think that's very important, and they should primarily still represent us. But I think in those rare cases where they can't attend is where we might open it up for someone else to be able to attend and represent the board for resolutions. I do support that, and I do support that. I don't know what would come up. Again, I'm not familiar with this meeting, but if something else came up, it seems appropriate that the executive director would be the other resource. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at is, the going to the other board members is when the president and vice president can't attend their assigned meeting.
Board
Thank you.
member, sorry,
Go ahead. Thank you, board member Kirkbride.
board member Kroger, I agree with board member Kirkbride. I don't think a policy is warranted. I would love this, it should just be a collaboration conversation, when it comes to delegates and alternates. And and having it open in that way in the situation where the tradition is not able to be upheld because of, conflicts or what have you. I think just having a conversation in that moment, and making sure that, board members have the opportunity to attend the meeting, if they are available. But I don't think we need a, steadfast step 1 through 10 on who's gonna attend the meeting.
Board Member Joyce, yeah, I completely agree. How we handled it last time was appropriate. We don't even need a formal protocol, so to speak, but if we were to stick with president, vice president, and they can't make it, how we handled it last time, where we had collaboration and we took into consideration who had not been there or seniority, and who wants to go there, all those factors, we were
And
able,
who can go there, yes.
we were able to, come up with a solution. So I think going forward, I think that that's the right thing to do, is just to, if you can't make it, just collaborate, and, I'm sure we can come to a decision.
This is board member Chin, and I would just like to recall part of the conversation was not in this direction. Part of the conversation that we had was that it should be open to anybody at each meeting to go to NABB, and it wasn't going the previous route of president, vice president. It was really being opened up to, or the suggestion had been made that anybody should be able to attend, which I'm not here to say that's good or bad. I'm just clarifying that that was mentioned, and I'm not suggesting we need a policy, but I think that just having an agreement that it's board president, vice president, and then if that route is not available, workable for those individuals, then we discuss as a board who would go next, like we did before.
Board Member Kroger, I think to clarify my statement and maybe to answer or respond to what you just said, Pat, is, the tradition of vice president annual, president district meeting. And that if those individuals for those meetings are unavailable, then it goes open to the group, not that it's vice president, president, vice president, president. I think maybe my sentiment and my thoughts is that we want board members to attend these meetings. We definitely want our president and vice president. And if somebody has already attended a meeting, then to me, then we open it up to the group broadly, to make sure that there's the more education, the more learning. Like I said, the NABP annual meeting, yes, there's the resolutions and those are enlightening and interesting as well, but there is, I've learned a lot in my attendance at these meetings, things that I, didn't even know when it comes to being a regulator and then collaborating with other regulators in that setting. So I think that's what I was trying to articulate, is in the event that the vice president can't attend the annual meeting, it doesn't default to the president, it defaults to the group, is what I think I was trying to articulate.
Ms. Board Member Joyce, I'm in agreement with that completely.
Board Member Kirkbride, I do have one question. Does this work similarly to APHA where you would send an alternate in case like that person gets ill and you have a person on site who's going to then sit in that delegate seat? Is that what you're looking for when you say you're wanting, we missed the step of assigning an alternate delegate, or is it really like an alternate person who takes a trip? Or are we talking about 2 people on site in Fort Lauderdale in case one can't sit in the seat?
Not 2 board members. This is Board President Jen, not 2 board members. The alternate delegate is typically one of the staff who also attends these meetings. The NAPB actually underwrites a board member's attendance and travel for these meetings, and it is not paid through board funds. And so the alternate delegate would be the staff who typically attend these meetings as well.
Now, here's a can of worms. We do have board members who are going on their own dime. So in theory, could a board member who is going on their own dime be appointed as the alternate delegate instead of a staff member? Or does it need to be a staff member?
Talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, I don't see an issue that if someone's going to be there, why we wouldn't appoint another board member to be the delegate for the board. That's my thought.
I'm just reading what the policy says. That's pursuant to policies set forth by the NABP Executive Committee, each executive officer of an active member board shall provide credentials for the following official delegate and alternative delegate, and return them. Sorry, this is the point where I was trying to get you. Or am I just reading things out loud? So I basically think what they're saying is that it can be the executive director or any board member, right? So, and now you just have to tell them by April 14th.
So in essence, what board member Kirkbride was suggesting, it could be whomever is attending, whether it's on NAPB's tab or their own tab, we would be able to ask that board member if they would like to be an alternate delegate. Is that what I'm understanding?
Board member Kroger, I'm thinking that board member Kirkbride's, order of operations is we've got our selected, delegate. And then a conversation happens, hey, is anyone else going? Yes or no? Yes, then they would you like to be the alternate? Yes or no? And then,
And
Can you?
I'm there for work.
yeah, and then the other path is, no, there isn't another board member there, or they can't, or they don't, or they won't be the alternate. Then it would go to a staff member that's in attendance. Right? As long as everyone's comfortable with that.
And it has to be the executive director, but we have one now.
Hey.
That sounds great to me.
This is board member Beeman. I have a question based on something that board member Kirkbride said. If a board member is going there for work and that trip is being paid for by their job, can they be a voting delegate for the board, or would there be a conflict in that?
That is not the answer right now.
Okay, I just want to make sure we don't paint ourselves into a corner, because I like this idea, and if you're going, awesome, and obviously as board members, we take off our job hat and put on our board hat when we're doing board functions and board readings and board thoughts and things, but I don't know if money wise, if people will be okay with our integrity or not being enough, like if we can't vouch for ourselves for something.
I just don't know the answer and I don't want to say one way or the other.
Oh, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just want to float the question because I hate for us to go, oh yeah, this is a great idea, and then find out 2 days before the meeting, oh, we nominated this and this doesn't work, and we have to do something really fast right now. Yeah, just, worst case scenario, that's where I'm at.
Board member Kroger, I can't speak for any Oregon laws that would restrict that, but there are many individuals who attend the meeting. And how it's paid for is through their employer, yet they are still voting delegates. And, and I did mention this in the presentation, there's also opportunities as board members to participate in committees that does not require fellow board member approval, because you're doing this on your own because you're interested, you want to contribute to the association. You're not necessarily representing your state in those instances, but I don't think there is any restrictions within NABP per se. I just don't know if there's any Oregon ethics.
I can look into it. I don't know how you know by tomorrow. That's the thing. Like, I don't.
I think that's fine. We can pick an alternate and bring it. Oh.
So
Do
for,
we have an
just-
executive?
just out of curiosity, besides Board Member Patel, who is going to the NAPB annual meeting in May?
I think it is board members. Yeah, but Gary will be there.
Board Member Kroger, I will be in attendance at the annual meeting and the district meeting.
Since
Okay.
this is board member viewing, since we have to have action necessary for today, can we make 2 motions to from the consent, from the sounds of things to vote on an alternate and then maybe an alternate to that alternate, just in case something we find, or should we just stick with what it is until we know more information about the financing?
We have to notify NAVP by the 14th.
Oh,
So we need to pick one that.
this might be for future if we are concerned with any conflicts, okay.
Okay, so the what I'm understanding is that for the alternate for NAPB, the other board member who will be in attendance is Board Member Kroger. So we would like to move Board Member Kroger forward for the alternate voting delegate then? And Board Member Kroger, would you accept being the alternate delegate?
Yes.
So that's what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding. So is that where and I'm hearing that we don't want a policy, which is fine. That gives staff something less to do. And I think that we just keep the discussion open on these annual meetings. I think it's great. So we will discuss and vote on the alternate voting delegate for the upcoming annual NAPB meeting. Do we need any further discussion? I think that we've discussed all of that.
Board Member Kroger, no further discussion. Sorry. I just wanted to hear myself.
If you mentioned another meeting, did you say a district, or you had mentioned some other meeting in your initial introduction?
Board Member,
There's a board member forum that's towards the end of the year. And typically that's a board president thing that the people that I met there were in those positions. And I don't know what the invitation says, because that was last year. How the invitation came about, but I think it was to the board president, if I'm not mistaken.
This is Board Member Patel. I attend one of the board member forum. Invitation come as a board member, so you can only attend if you're a board member.
But when the invitation comes from NAPB to pay for somebody to come to the board member forum, I do believe it comes to the board president. That doesn't mean that other people can't attend, but that's who NAPB typically funds.
NABP do fund for the board member forum meeting too, and I have met other board members too, not necessarily their president or vice president. So that is my understanding when I attend board member meeting. I think about 2 years ago, or maybe 1 year ago in December.
Something to just look at NAPB's their invitation when it comes to the board.
Board Member Kirkbride, if you're asking us to make a decision, I would have to know more about what happens at that meeting for me to say which person should attend. But I am all 100% for if things are appropriate for the president especially to like meet other leaders, and if that's the purpose of the meeting, then yes, but not knowing what the purpose is of the meeting, it's hard for me to say right now.
Board Member Kroger, I was gonna mention the District 6, 7, and 8 meeting. Is that what you were asking about earlier? That one's in October. And so there would be a new board president at that time who would be the traditional delegate attendant on that. And that's October 5th through 8th in St. Louis, Missouri. So what the calendar is, just putting it out there.
So at the district meetings, that's where resolutions are typically made, discussed and made and thought through. And you have, each district has their separate meetings. You have combined meetings about there's an agenda on the hot topics for the meeting. For the board member forum, staff member Runyon had given me bullet points for each of the topics that were discussed, and I can see if that's something available to put into the resources folder so that all the board members could be abreast of what those topics were and the learning that I did to be a valuable member of that forum.
So it's like a panel, is that kind of the idea, like you're talking,
No.
contributing?
It-
Okay, we
it-
don't have to talk about it now.
Okay, so
It's at the end of the year, we can talk about it later.
So it is at the end of the year, and you will have new people and new ED. So it's not on the agenda to assign anybody to that one today. We do need to make a motion for our alternate voting delegate. Are you ready to do that?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to move that board member Victoria Kroger as the alternate voting delegate to the 121st NAPB annual meeting?
So move, Board Member Joyce.
Thank you. Board member Chin, yes. Board member Choice,
Yes.
board member Beeman,
Yes.
board member Hall,
Yes.
board member Hemmons. Abstain. Board member Kroger,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
She's skipping.
oh, sorry.
Oh,
I thought you said Kirkbride, yes.
Kirkbride, Kroger,
Yes.
and Patel.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes with board member Hemmons abstaining. And we have 15 minutes. I'd like to just discuss the board member Patel's decision-making authority on behalf of the board regarding proposed resolutions for the upcoming NAPB annual meeting in May. We had in your packet the current rendition of those resolutions. I think Melvin can put those up. Did everybody have a chance to look over those resolutions or understand?
Sorry, Staff Member Melvin, we're not going to project those in the room, but
That's
the
right.
board does have access to them.
My
Sorry.
apologies. We can't project them because they are only for our consumption, because the national NAPB doesn't have these as public until after the resolutions have been voted on. So but we do have the ability to look at the resolution so that we can direct our delegate on how we would like our vote to go. So I know I reviewed all of the resolutions and am in support of all of the resolutions proposed. And we need to decide if there are others who have strong feelings about not supporting the resolutions?
It's in a really weird place. Hold on. We're scrolling. All of us in the room are scrolling. Give us 1 minute.
You
And
scroll.
Board Member Kroger, I think for a little context for the resolutions, I being in support or opposition to these resolutions that are presented in APP, it does not obligate our board to take action or to not take action. It is not for us, it's for NAVP, but reaching out to its members so that they, create a task force or, hey, what kind of, are you looking for different education or how are they? But it does not, bind our board to anything.
It's not binding,
Yeah.
similar to APHA, it's advocacy. So you're basically telling your parent organization what you want them to advocate on your behalf.
Or research or, formal
Correct.
community on, et cetera.
So just for additional on resolutions, the resolutions can, changes can be made to those up until the day of the meeting. So even what you're reading in your board pads isn't necessarily the final language. We do need to provide direction to our delegate on those resolutions and what parameters to provide for the vote on these resolutions. And then if Board Member Patel, for any reason, is not able to be our voting delegate, then it would land on our alternate delegate, Board Member Kroger.
This is Board Member Kirkbright. I don't have any opposition to any of the resolutions after review.
Remember, be there, nor do I.
Board Member Kroger, I have no concerns with the resolutions or being moved in favor of them.
Okay,
Or Joyce, nothing to add.
okay. Board Member Patel?
Yeah.
What are your
and
thoughts
go
on the
opposite. I
resolutions?
am. Yes. I heard all the board members, so you guys are good.
Okay, and Board Member,
Comfortable,
do
Board
you
Member
have-
Patel?
Yeah.
and Board Member Hemmons, do you have any comments about the resolutions?
No, I do not.
Do you all feel ready to make a motion?
Yes.
I would like to, before I motion this, it does have to, for the delegating authority to Board Member Patel, but I think that we need wording in here, or alternate delegate, Board Member Kroger. So that both are covered in this motion. Does that sound okay?
That's great.
Okay. Is there a motion to move to delegate authority to Board Member Patel or Board Member Kroger in the event Board Member Patel is unable to be the voting delegate to make decisions on behalf of the board regarding proposed resolutions for the 121st NAPB annual meeting, May 13th through 16th, 2025.
Move Board Member Beeman.
Second, Board Member Kirkbright?
Thank you. Board Member Chin, yes. Board Member Joyce?
Yes.
Board Member Beeman?
Yes.
Board Member Hall?
Yes.
Board Member Hemmons?
Abstained.
Board Member Kirkbride?
Yes.
Board Member Kroger?
Yes.
Board Member Patel?
Yes.
Wonderful. Motion passes with Board Member Hemmons abstained. And we did it, ladies and gentlemen.
Did it revised. Did it.
Revise. So tomorrow we'll revise.
Tomorrow's a new day, Kat. Tomorrow's a new day.
You would have received in your emails Board Member Patel, Board Member Hemmons, you have received the motions templates. So get those ready for tomorrow. We'll get those done early. And thank you all so much for the time and thoughtful processes that we went through today.
Member Kroger, oh, sorry.
Please.
Finish with that. Board Member Kroger was going to move to adjourn.
Is there a motion to move to adjourn the meeting at 4:23 p.m.?
So move, Board Member Joyce.
Second board member Beeman.
Thank you. Board Member Chin, yes. Board Member Joyce.
Yes.
Board Member Beeman.
Yes.
Board Member Hall.
Yes.
Board Member Hemmons.
Just to clarify, you said this meeting is adjourned until 3 p.m. tomorrow?
No, ma'am. I said we are adjourned at 4:23 p.m.
Okay, yes.
Board Member Kirkbride.
Yes.
Board Member Kroger.
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Yes.
Motion passes. We are adjourned and we will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30. Your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you then.